All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, Justin. Good afternoon now, Central Time. It is noon. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. Got about 200, almost 200 people so far. So give it another couple of minutes while people filter in. I was looking at the weather this morning. Looks like it's getting warmer in the Northeast, like 80s next week, I think I saw, which is it's pretty cool. Still in the 70s here in Houston. We're about to hit the like super oppressively hot part of the year coming up in the weeks to come. All right. Hey, Turpin. 70 in New Jersey today. Ah, balmy. Mm, sorry about the Pittsburgh weather. Okay, we're at 260. I think we'll get started. Welcome to the town hall. Why don't we flip to the agenda if we can? Very meaty as usual. So we'll hear from our newly appointed SAB Vice Chair, Dr. Zach Newman, also our NCAA basketball aficionado and survivor pool extraordinaire. He's done a great job in kind of bringing some of the network together to participate in those. He's going to talk about an enriching live story, and then we'll turn it over to our ops VPs. We'll talk about some of the hospital construction work. There's been a lot of activity there and still a lot yet going on. Meredith will give us an update on financials. And then Melanie's going to talk about recruiting. And then we'll have a couple of medical topics. We'll welcome Dr. Tracy Hill and then hear from Dr. Chan Khanna about Ethos Discovery and such an exciting partnership that we have there. We've talked a little bit about it, but hearing directly from him is like next level. And so then we'll hear from Jason about the air traffic control calendar. This is something that's going to really help us ensure we're staggering the initiatives and activities and asks of the hospital, something that's been much anticipated by all. Brandon's going to talk to us about the support center survey. Thank you to those who have filled it out, as well as some of the 2024 support center initiatives. Then over to Deidre Dunn to talk about contract management. And then Dr. Pat Welch will talk about VetBloom. And then lastly, Christy Cotter to talk about innovation. And then we'll move to our usual Q&A. But before we get to the formal Q&A part, I wanted to hit a question that's likely to be on most people's minds. I know we've already had a number of questions about this. It's the FTC's issuance of the final rule to ban non-competes nationwide. And so just to give everyone a little context here, the FTC had been expected to propose and vote in favor of a rule banning non-competes for quite some time. And so the vote yesterday is not surprising. And although we do think there's going to be some legal challenges to this rule, ultimately its enforcement. And so where are we with this? And so right now we're reviewing, it's a 570 pages or so in this rule. And we're going through that in a detailed fashion, and then also monitoring the guidance that's being put out on the application, as well as some of the exceptions. And so from a timing perspective, the rule is actually not expected to come into effect until around mid-August at the earliest. And so we do have time to plan any next steps. And so obviously this is a big deal. And the use of non-competes in our hospitals long predate partnership with Ethos or any of the legacy organizations. So Compassion First, NVA, SAGE, and it's a super complex topic. And so with that, we plan to carefully evaluate the future use of any non-competes, and certainly how to handle existing non-competes as soon as we have some of the information that I just mentioned, and then some time to look at this. And please know, we are very committed to communicating plans to our hospital leaders. And so with that, just wanted to kind of take a step back and think about what we're all trying to do here as leaders. And you know, we need to constantly be critiquing and thinking a lot about what we're doing to make our hospitals and the support center the absolute best places to work in the veterinary industry. And I do believe that we are creating resources and support to help us on this journey. And some of this you'll hear about today in our town hall, actually. And at the end of the day, this is all of our responsibilities to help make this happen. And certainly a support center in development of programs, but also hospital leaders, so hospital directors, medical directors. Our goal is to create a place to work at the greater Ethos, and then all of our individual hospitals where you come to stay, and ideally your whole careers. And so this is just super fundamental in all that we do. And I know we talk about it, but just in light of the news, I think it's a good reminder. And so obviously more to come on this topic. Please know it's a top priority of ours, and we'll communicate more as the days and weeks come on. So with that, we'll move forward into our formal agenda, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Zach Newman.
Thanks, Ryan. Going to start us off with an inspiring story of a patient of mine that I've been treating recently. So my name is Dr. Zachary Newman. I'm a medical oncologist in Northeast Florida in Jacksonville. I've been here since 2015. Go ahead and take it to the next slide. This is a digital melanoma case. The patient's name was Lincoln, a very sweet, handsome 9-year-old male neutered golden retriever who first presented in March of 2023, so just over a year ago. Had a mass on his 5th digit of the left hind limb that was noticed at home. Took him into the regular vet. They had performed marginal excision, which confirmed an incompletely excised malignant melanoma, and the mitotic count was very high. If you know anything about mitotic counts, that is a very high number. It was greater than 100. A few weeks later, he went for a surgery consult and had some staging tests performed. Chest x-rays, ultrasound were normal. He then had amputation of the digit with removal of the popliteal lymph node. And the lymph node was negative for metastatic disease. I didn't include that on there. Digital melanoma in the dog, it's pretty aggressive. It's locally aggressive with bone invasion in most cases. It's pretty metastatic as well. So at initial diagnosis, reported rates of about 30 to 40% metastatic disease found. Treatment options: amputation locally for the digit to get rid of the tumor is usually curative, and then we will typically recommend following with chemotherapy and or the melanoma vaccine. Prognosis for most dogs is unfortunately only about 12 months due to metastatic disease, obviously, because usually we're able to amputate the digit. Pass it on. Yep. So following the amputation of the digit, the owners elected to forego chemotherapy and the vaccine and just monitor. And it wasn't until November 10th of last year that we found some metastatic nodules, which are shown here. So you can see the nodules in the lungs on all these x-rays. And so at this point, we started carboplatin chemotherapy, which he didn't tolerate super well. He did have a bit of a septic episode that we had to treat him for, but he recovered. And then click to the next slide, shows the So December 28th, he had lack of response to carboplatin. And so we had switched to oral Plady at this point. So these chest x-rays are from December 28th, just showing that there's really no obvious change. It actually was worse. Pictures aren't super great here, but there was advanced disease. The next visit was February 19th, and he had had a fantastic response to Palladia. So this was just a couple months ago. Nodules were much smaller or resolved. I mean, a lot of them had actually gone away. So we would call this a strong partial remission. And the plan for Lincoln is to continue Palladia for as long as it's effective. He's been tolerating it amazingly well. I did use a little bit of an aggressive dose with him, and he's had zero side effects. He's happy, he's playful, and it's just a really inspiring story for me because it's rare that we get to see such a great response in this setting when it's stage 4 disease with metastatic lung disease, not usually a good prognosis. So this has just been a great story, and I'm hopeful for Lincoln. So yeah, hopefully things continue to go well for him. That's all I've got. I'm going to pass it over to Trey, who's going to kick off the business updates.
Thanks so much. All right. So we've had lots of amazing hospital projects that we've been able to work on throughout the year. And here over the last couple of months, we've hit kind of a slew of new hospital openings. So I have the pleasure of being able to talk about a couple of them. So our first one is Animal Dental Center in Annapolis. This is a dental only specialty service. They've have multiple locations throughout the greater Baltimore area, including going all the way up into York, Pennsylvania. But they recently opened this location. Beautiful site, is able to have state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art facility for everything that is dental. And then also just a couple of weeks ago, we were able to open up Port City Veterinary Referral Hospital in Port Smith, New Hampshire. An amazing new facility, 25,000 square feet, state of the art, and something that's been in the pipe for quite a long time. I got to actually go there for the opening week, and it was amazing, not only seeing the facility, but also just seeing the team there really working hard to be able to provide the best for their area. So awesome hospital. And I will pass it over to Donna.
Great, thank you. I'm very excited today to announce the opening of North Alabama Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital, NAEVS, as they move to their new facility from what we had referred to as AECC, and they're now in the Madison area of Huntsville. Beautiful facility, 11,000 square feet, beautiful neighborhood. Triple the size of where they were before, and this is really going to allow them to expand their services and expand into to specialty as well. Led by Deanna Bayless, and I know that this has been a dream of yours, Deanna, for a long time, so congratulations. And this project had started with Trey and then moved over to she, Van Gordon, and Melissa Durner, so it's been a real team effort to finish this, and so I'm really grateful to everybody, and congratulations. And I'll continue with a couple of our expansions. So Veterinary Specialty Hospital of Roseville in the Sacramento area moved this week and opened their 4,500 or opened their 22,000 square foot facility. This is a huge expansion for them, and it's just a beautiful location. This hospital is led by Nicole Orlando and Dr. Alick and team, along with Shannon Mayer. And I know this has been a long time coming for all of you too. Congratulations, and I look forward to everything you're going to be able to do with this hospital. And my next one, I'm very lucky to have 3 in here today. Southern Asheville Veterinary and Emergency and Specialty, SAVES, in Asheville, North Carolina. This is phase 2 of an expansion, and you can see from this picture, it's just a beautiful hospital. They converted existing space into more usable administrative and storage space, and then added 19,000 square feet of space to expand. Cheryl Rizzo, our OSM in Group 4, has been the acting hospital director here for some time now, and so I'm so grateful to everything you've done, along with Dr. Finster, the medical director there, and Mary Hunter, the division leader. And we can also welcome a new hospital director, Michael Salter, who will be onboarding at this hospital. So congratulations, looking forward to all you're going to do for that area. And I will turn it to Tyler, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thanks, Donna. I'm really happy and excited to share the Sage Campbell expansion and remodel. We're able to continue to add different services in the nearly 16,000 square feet. This was quite a tough project, given that we had to operate in a pretty confined space that had several kind of challenges that were unexpected throughout the project. But really want to give kudos to the Sage Campbell team, Senior DL Sherry Boymanu and OSM Erica Dockman for all they did to really help manage this and keep the ship running. It was quite a challenge, and it also was a team effort. We even partnered with obviously design and construction, with marketing, procurement, and then also our OSHA and safety teams really did a great job in helping us manage this quite complex project. So thanks to all who really helped navigate this. Now I'd like to tee it up to Meredith to provide a business performance update.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate the time. I just want to take a minute to give everyone an update on our performance, not only in March, but also year to date. We've continued to see some really positive trends across the portfolio through March, but we're also still battling a lot of headwinds, which of course are industry-wide, not just specific to Ethos. And so we're trying to manage and maintain the positive momentum while also working to mitigate the risks that we're seeing that are coming from some of those industry headwinds. During the month of March, we were ahead from a revenue perspective heading into the month of March, and we generated $155 million in revenue, which is good, but we were down from budget by about 5%. So we saw an increase of about 3.5% from last March, versus a budget of almost 9%. So we were definitely down from a revenue perspective. And that also meant from a year-to-date perspective, we've now shifted to be slightly behind revenue by just under 1% behind our plan. We've still generated $460 million in revenue, so it's no small feat for sure. But again, the visit declines that we're seeing are definitely impacting that. And a lot of our increase and improvement to revenue is coming from the pricing increases that we've done over the last year. So focusing on how we can continue to drive visits, especially in markets where we've seen a decline, is a top priority for all of our divisions and operators, as well as the support center as well. We've seen that our visits have declined about 2.5% year to date. And while that is obviously something we're working to focus, we are ahead of what we're seeing in the broader industry. So some of the folks like VetSource and IDEXX that present industry-wide data are showing that visits industry-wide are down north of 3.5% in a lot of areas. And so we're still trending significantly better, but we're definitely seeing that decline, and we're seeing it a little bit more in a lot of our ER areas. Specialty is remaining fairly flat with nominal declines, and ER is taking a slightly larger hit. So the teams are focused on referral marketing efforts, as well as working with all of the hospitals to understand capacity needs and staffing needs. On the flip side of that, we are still seeing some very positive trends in how we manage our costs associated with the revenue, which is really good to see. Our DVM labor has remained flat, even with some of the revenue shortfalls in the month. We did see a slight uptick in our lay staff margin, which we believe is associated with a lot of spring breaks that happened during the month of March, and we expect those to return to more normalized levels as we head into Q2. And we also saw some significant improvements in our cost of sales margin during the month. This was primarily associated with our inventory adjustments that we took during the month. But we're still seeing really positive trends with the hospitals working with our procurement teams and how our inventory is being managed. And so we expect those trends to continue. And all in all, that has led to, even with a large shortfall in revenue this month, we still are ahead on our EBITDA margin for the year. And while we, again, are faced with some of those headwinds, I think if we can continue to manage our costs and focus on how to mitigate the risk associated with visit declines, we are optimistic about our ability to maintain our EBITDA margins moving forward. With that, I'll hand it off to Melanie.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Meredith. I appreciate it. And I am here today to share some Q1 hiring measures as well as some highlights from March. Per usual, we continue to see strong results for DVM hires with just over 100 hires in our first quarter, including 30 specialist hires, which is tremendous. In March, we did hire 31 full-time positions, which was slightly lower than our goal, which may be attributable to the slightly lower acceptance rate year over year. But we did see a year-over-year improvement in submissions with a total of 166 DVM submitted hospitals. So tremendous kudos to all of the teams involved in that. Q1 was a particularly important quarter for our campus and house officer efforts. The team, in collaboration with members of medical leadership, was able to engage with 400 CVM students and external house officers through a combination of social events, career fairs, and sponsorship opportunities. That was a 30% increase from Q4 of 2023. And since we've been tracking for new Ethos, is an all-time high for the team. More importantly, March was match day in veterinary medicine, and Ethos saw an overall increase in internship and residency placements, and we were a very close second to VCA in our placement rates through VIRMP for private practice. Thank you so much to our hospital and medicine partners in making this year such a success, and we look forward to being the best in private practice next year, so we will top VCA. And then we are excited to start sharing measures of our new hospital operations TA team efforts in town halls going forward. These data sets will continue to evolve as we further establish our new support structure. But in our first quarter of our new support model, we have been able to provide recruiting and talent acquisition efforts for non-DVM hiring needs to just over 100 hospitals, leading to 312 total fills. And again, continue to support our folks in the support center with dedicated talent acquisition support. Lastly, I wanted to reinforce the importance of our new standard enterprise referral program. We have seen some nice successes year to date with having 9 hires out of 19 referral candidates. But we're a big group now. We have roughly 2,000 doctors and roughly twice that number of technicians. And as we enter into busy conference season and networking season, this is a great opportunity for us to share our openings on social media, in engagements at conferences, and via your professional networks. We recognize that this is not innate to people. So if you would like partnership and creative ways to share the program with your network, or if a hospital would like to launch a campaign, your TA partner would be happy to provide materials and brainstorm with you on effective ways to do so. Great Q1 thus far. We're looking forward to continued successes. And thank you as always for your strong partnership and support of our hiring efforts across the organization. And I will now turn it over to Stacy.
Thank you so much, Melanie, and congratulations, talent acquisition team. That's amazing results. I have the pleasure or honor to introduce Dr. Chand Khanna today. Chand is leading our efforts in partnership with Ethos Discovery. And just as a reminder, we have Ethos Consultancy that is led by Dr. Tracy Hill, and we will be introducing Dr. Hill next at our next town hall. And then Ethos Discovery, which Chand will be going further into depth today. Ethos Discovery is an extremely exciting venture, and our partnership is really, really important to our vision of revolutionizing veterinary medicine. So I'm really excited for Chand to talk to you about that today. In addition, I would love if everybody can give Chand a happy birthday wish in our chat, because today is his birthday. So he is here, and hopefully we can celebrate him today. And Chand, I will turn it over to you.
Very well, thank you very much, Stacy, and thank you for the time. As Stacy said, I'm really excited to share the expansion of the partnership between Ethos Discovery, the standalone not-for-profit incubator of scientific innovation, and Ethos Veterinary Health. And if I can have the next slide. This partnership is, alluring to a broad set of audiences and made possible because of the coming together of this large and robust organization called Ethos Veterinary Health. The investment in science creates a very distinctive brand for Ethos to take a leadership position in, as Stacy suggested, to revolutionize veterinary medicine. Working with the talent team, we've been able to introduce positions called Ethos Discovery Clinician Scientist positions that I'll talk about in more detail. But these positions can give existing doctors a nice place to stay and be successful clinicians in private practice, but add science and innovation to their career path, as well as recruit doctors from outside who have otherwise really nowhere else to go to combine science in real terms with a career in private practice. So that's an important part of the partnership. It extends to our ability from our large portfolio of research projects to offer mentorship to house officers. And I think that again lends itself to discussions with Melanie and her team around how we can recruit interns, residents, and other house officers based on a very deeply supported mechanism to help them get publications and complete research mentorship for their credentialing prospects. And lastly, potentially most importantly, to open these new clinical trials within all of the hospitals. And reflecting on Meredith's comments, these clinical trials give pet owners and RDVMs access to cutting-edge therapies, in most cases at no cost, and certainly will be helpful in increasing visit numbers to practices and conversion from consult to full care within the context of these clinical trials, where the support for these trials comes from Ethos Discovery via the partnership with Ethos Vet Health. So we're really excited to bring all of these things to you through this robust new partnership. Sorry, next slide if I could, please. So this slide just telling you that we have the goal to open clinical trials within all of the 146 hospitals through the end of the year. We're early in, but right on track in regards to bringing hospitals on, and happy to say as a result of visiting in person in Cincinnati at the Care Center and at Indy Vets in Indianapolis that we had a very strong interest from those groups and bringing the line right on track. But love to reach out to all of you and find times to visit and interact with you to allure the interest of your doctors to open the clinical trials within your hospitals. So next slide, please. The clinician scientist positions have been very successful, and maybe give me a chance to celebrate a win for the partnership with all of you, an early win. We projected a number of clinician scientists that would be onboarded as we launched the partnership with Ryan and others, and I'm happy to say that we've already surpassed that number, and we're oversubscribed. And that's not to worry any of you, because we plan to extend the opportunity as a result of this traction and the success. And these numbers don't include 2 university clinicians who are now entering the talent process to be recruited to join Ethos Vet Health based on their interest in these clinician scientist positions. So certainly a win for all of us, and evidence that there's a strong interest in innovation and science embedded within the ethos of Ethos Veterinary Health. And I'll just say that doctors who are interested can begin their interaction with Ethos Discovery through the campaign that asks them what are the medical frustrations they have, matures to then opening clinical trials, and that at the top end of curiosity allows them to explore these roles as clinician scientists. Within the category of mentorship in research for house officers, we specifically want to target with Gareth and Pat and others, the residents within the programs, but also all house officers, to offer our ability to support their research aspirations during their training programs. Next slide. So I'll really conclude there and say that you can reach me, Tina Rice, or Sam Stewart, really with any questions related to Ethos Discovery. We plan to lever the GoFetch page as much as we can and make it as useful as we can as we engage you, but we really do also want to find opportunities to meet in person at meetings or in your hospitals, and we'll come to you if we can. And encourage you all to look for these posters which ask for medical frustrations or unmet needs, and these then become the fuel for innovation and creation of projects and research for Ethos Discovery. So I'll conclude there and thank you all again and pass it on to Jason for his discussion on the air traffic control process.
Thank you, John, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jason Baird. I'm the director of our Ethos project management team. We're often referred to as the PMO. One of the main things that we do is we have a small team of project managers, and we help support and coordinate and manage some of the larger strategic projects that we have going on at Ethos. And as part of that, we have been tasked with this new air traffic control calendar. So I'd just like to demo that for you today and tell you a little bit about it. So let me share my screen. All right, hopefully you can all see that. So the air traffic control calendar, you can get to it through GoFetch. It's really easy to find. So this is the GoFetch homepage. And the way you get to it is if you just click on Ethos Veterinary Health, you can see it right there at the top of the list. This is the air traffic control calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it will bring up the calendar. So this calendar basically aggregates major events and projects and different communications that are impacting all or most of the hospitals. And so we've tried to take everything and put it all in one place on one calendar. And what this helps us do is, number one, is it provides the hospitals and leadership with some visibility into things that are coming down the pipeline, different projects or communications that are going to go out and things that are going to be asked of them. The other thing that it helps us do is it helps us look for collisions or places where maybe we're trying to do too much at the same time on the same week or the same day. So this helps us visualize that, and then we can proactively prevent that. So we hope that you'll find it as a very useful tool. So far, we've had over 70 submissions to the calendar over the past few weeks. So we're starting to get it populated with some good information and good events. I know we don't have everything though, so more will come in. And if you're working on something that impacts all the hospitals or most of the hospitals and you want to get it into the calendar, you can do that through this GoFetch page. So right here in the center is the actual calendar itself. If you have an event or a communication that you think should go on the calendar, you could submit that here through these quick links. There's one form for submitting a project or an event that impacts all or most of the hospitals. That's this top one. If you have an email communication that you're gonna that you would like to send out to all the hospitals, you can submit that here. And this will go to some review committees that will work with you if there are any questions, and we'll get it populated onto the calendar. So pretty easy process there. If you notice something that's missing that you think should be on here, you can always reach out to me directly as well. So just really quick, a couple things to know about the calendar. There will be different categories over here on the left, and you can collapse or expand the categories just by clicking on it. So if you want to hide a certain category to make it easier to read, you can do that. Communications will always be at the bottom in green, and then some of the projects and events that are going on will be up here, and they're usually categorized by high impact and then lower impact events. So you can see a few things going on over the next few weeks. We've got the Ethos annual meeting coming up soon. There's a talk desk implementation happening right now. You can see some of the Oracle asks that are going to be happening over the next few weeks. So it's just a really great resource where you can kind of see what's going on, see what's in the calendar. And I would also encourage you, if you are planning something that's going to impact the hospitals, please check this calendar out first to make sure you're not going to be conflicting with something else that's going on. So I think that's all for my demo, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you. I will now pass it over to Brandon.
All right, thanks, Jason. It's great to see it up and running, and as probably one of the first submitters of things, I think it's really easy to use as well. We actually had the support center survey submitted into this that everyone could see if they had access to it. Great. So what I'm going to do today is give everyone an update on the semi-annual support center survey. First off, thank you to all of the hospital medical directors and the field ops team members that completed the survey. We had 142 responses, which is an all-time high for the survey. And the feedback, especially the written comments, is used by Ethos leaders and functional teams to inform all the projects that we prioritize for Ethos, as well as continuing improvement efforts to better support our hospitals. So the feedback is really critical, and we all pay a lot of attention to it. You can see from the charts on the left that we had good representation from different groups. This mix is in line with previous surveys, although we did have more hospital directors complete this spring survey, which is great to see that engagement. We're reviewing and finalizing the results over the next week or two, and we plan to share them with the hospital leaders in a couple weeks at the annual meeting. And we'd also like to encourage live discussion at the annual meeting around specific actions that functional teams can take to improve. So please come with ideas and suggestions to that event. I will share that preliminary results indicate that scores overall have increased, which is due, I think, to getting our Ethos-specific support center structure more firmly in place, as well as all the actions taken as a result of feedback from the survey last fall. So thank you to everyone again for providing that feedback, and also to the actions subsequently taken. On that note, we're also committed to providing you details on what we heard from the surveys and what we're doing to improve our service levels. We'll cover those updates in future meetings and communications, but you can also see the details live anytime you'd like. If we could go to the next slide. So Jason showed you where the air traffic control is. You can also see under the same menu the support center functional overview on GoFetch. And then there's a condensed document with all of the different plans. But if you scroll further down the page, you can find links to the most updated versions on individual functional pages. And you can see examples of what that looks like on the right. There's both the action plans from the survey, as well as kind of more detailed definitions of what each team does to provide support to our hospitals. So with that, we'd like to give you an update on a couple of our 2024 initiatives. So I'll hand things over to Deirdre and then Dr. Welch.
Oops, the dreaded mute. Hello, everyone. My name is Deirdre Dunn, and I am an associate general counsel in the legal department. And I'd like to talk to you about one of the 2024 initiatives and goals of the legal department, which was to implement a contract management system this year. The purpose of I think you can move the slide if you like. Thank you. The purpose of the CLM is to help negotiate contracts for all of you more efficiently. We will use this contract management system for two basic things. First, to negotiate and sign new contracts, and also we will use it with existing contracts. As far as the new contracts, we'll use the CLM to facilitate the negotiation and the execution of enterprise agreements. So larger agreements, which is really designed to streamline execution, enhance the benefits of the agreements, and lower the costs. We also anticipate that by using this system, it will be helpful in terms of standardizing the terms of our agreements. So when you call us and need assistance in enforcing agreements or have questions, the terms will be a little more predictable, hopefully. As far as our existing contracts, we will use the contract management system to track the contracts, to track dates, renewal periods, as well as to just make sure we're aware of other key terms. And again, as you need assistance with different contracts, it'll make it a little easier to find them, sort them, and provide you advice on a timely basis. So just like with any new technology, there'll be a period of time where we're designing and implementing the system. We anticipate that should go fairly quickly, but it will take a few months. While we are designing and implementing it, we may be in touch with some of you, and we just ask for your help and collaboration. We certainly appreciate any feedback and suggestions you have. And in the beginning, we will focus on the larger contracts with the more risk, as I mentioned. We will also use the CLM to help expedite the negotiation and execution of employment agreements. So if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Pat Welch.
Awesome. Thanks, Deirdre. So yeah, and thanks so much for letting me have a little bit of time today to chat about the Veplum implementation. So we can jump to the next slide. I think just a quick refresher. So Veplum is a learning ecosystem, and it can house all sorts of content, clinical content, non-clinical content, whatever we want to put there. We have a library of content. There's about 600 learning modules on the platform, as well as access to a lot of different like formal programs. So we have a NAVTA approved vet assistant program and a CSR program. ER Immerse is going to be housed on Veplum, and then of course all of our house officer resources. So you know, some Ethos hospitals have had access to Veplum in the past, but this has been fragmented. There's been different versions of the platform and different implementations. And then a lot of the hospitals, about half, has really never had access. And so the exciting thing about this implementation project is that we're going to get every team member from across the entire portfolio onto one aligned, cohesive learning environment. And that's incredibly exciting. We can jump to the next slide. So I think as we bring everyone together on the platform, all the learners are going to be on what we call a single Ethos tenant, meaning everyone's going to be together. And there's huge benefit to that, things like sharing resources and creating program cohorts. But just because everyone's on the same tenant, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to be forced to have sort of a standardized or vanilla experience. Each hospital is going to have their own group in the system, and that's going to allow them to have custom content and create sort of a curated learning experience. And we can segment in other ways too. So we can curate content based on job role or geography or organizational level, a lot of different ways. And so really the goal is to ensure we're trying to provide a really relevant and custom learning experience for individuals based on their hospital, their role, et cetera. And then lastly, just the individual level. So every individual is going to have sort of a personal learning portfolio that they can review and manage. It also makes it really easy to have multiple mentor-mentee relationships. So we're going to be able to connect mentees with their mentors, and that's going to make it really, I think, simple and efficient to connect and share content and also track progress. We can jump to the last slide. So, you know, what does this plan look like? So Michelle Marks, who's the Veplum Director of Customer Success, is leading the efforts. But really, there's just a big team across the broader Ethos and Veplum teams that are helping to make this a reality, including Rick Mims, who's a new member of the Ethos Clinical L&D team. He's joined us as the Learning Systems and Digital Content Lead. So Rick will be a big part of this as well. You know, if you look at this Gantt chart, we're sort of focused on migrating hospitals that are on the older version of Veplum. We call that 2.0 first, starting with the legacy Ethos hospitals. This is important because this is going to allow us to sort of sunset that old platform and really simplify our technology stack. And then we'll move on to migrating Ethos hospitals that are currently on individual hospital tenants. And then finally bring the roughly 69 hospitals that have never been on Veplum onto the platform. So once we're done with this project and everyone's together in one space, we're going to spend Q4 sort of looking at a post-migration analysis, talking with users, getting feedback, and then starting to customize the hospital level content. So really excited. See this as a huge positive. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Michelle Marks, any member of the Vet Bloom or clinical L&D teams. And with that, I will hand it over to Christy Cotter. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat. I think we can move on to the next slide. So just to introduce myself, I'm Christy Cotter. I'm the director for our business operations team, and talking a little bit about innovation today. So one of the most important elements that binds us as a community is our shared interest in innovation. Innovation really helps us improve patient outcomes and compassionate care day in and day out. And one of the key functions of the business operations team is really to partner with hospitals and or support center teams to identify and assess and or develop new tools, resources, or initiatives that ultimately enable our hospitals to optimize operational efficiency, patient care, and client experience. So it's really in that spirit that we want to harness that power of our community, and we want to learn from you all, our hospitals, our support center as well, but really our hospitals. We see and hear about great things that our hospitals are doing every day. And we know many of you really have that kind of like thinking outside the box type of culture, and have identified new ways to solve operational or financial challenges that both you and your peers face every day. And so not only do we want to learn from you, but we really want to acknowledge and appreciate those of you that have taken that innovative approach to problem solving. And so with that, we're really launching a new program that will allow us to do just that, and that's impacting through innovation. And so with this program, we're looking for your ideas, your initiatives, your unique initiatives, processes, tools that you've implemented that have created positive improvement to an operational financial challenge that your hospital has faced. For example, you heard earlier from Meredith, visits are down for many of our hospitals. If your hospital is one of those that has actually taken a really unique approach to increasing visits, even in this, tumultuous time, we want to hear from you. We want to know, like, what is the unique and different thing that you've done, you figured out that maybe not everybody else has. And I think a lot of times there's, things that we take for granted that maybe your hospitals do every day. And you may not think they're incredibly unique, but nobody else has figured them out. And so we really, really want to hear from you all. And so with that, we have this form. There's a screenshot there. The form will be available in the post-call materials. It'll also be available on GoFetch. You saw both Jason and Brandon kind of walked you through how to get to GoFetch. It'll be on the business operations team page there. But for every submission that you all submit or a hospital submit, they will receive a follow-up outreach where we'll partner with you to gather additional details about what it is that you're doing at your hospitals. We'll determine if it's something that could potentially be scaled to the broader Ethos network, really being able to create that ripple of impact across, the network and really outside of your own four walls. And so with that, really just wanted to again, kind of go to the people that know your hospitals best, know what you're doing unique there, and really want to acknowledge and appreciate and start to gather those ideas. Again, to acknowledge the work that you're doing already, but also to determine if those are something that we can scale across the broader network and really help all of our hospitals improve, again, those challenges that we're facing every day, operational, financial challenges. If you figured something else out, let's get the word out there. So the submission form is incredibly simple, I promise. It'll take you less than 3 minutes to fill out. And it'll be available in the post-call materials as well as on GoFetch. And so would love to hear from you. And with that, I will actually pass it back to Ryan for our Q&A session.
All right. Thanks, Christy. Just a note on the innovation submissions. I think, when I've seen like a call for suggestions, sometimes people just think the bar is so high and, oh, my idea probably, won't get accepted and that sort of thing. And there's so many hospitals and there's so many ideas out there. I want to make sure that we really open the floodgates here, because all the best ideas come from the hospitals. And I know there's a ton of great work that's going on there. And if you're not sure if your idea is truly innovative or different, I mean, certainly socialize that with some of the other hospitals in your group and see if they're doing something similar, or if it truly is unique. But really looking forward to seeing good engagement there. And so with that, I'll actually turn it over to Justin, I think, who's going to walk us through some of the pre-submitted questions.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Time for my monthly MC duties for FAQs. we have a bunch of questions that we'll go through that were pre-submitted via the communications from last week. But as Christy mentioned in the chat, if you have other questions, hit the little Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. All right, let's jump right into it. This first one is going to come your way, Brandon. The question is if there will be opportunities for training or demos of upcoming new tools like GoFetch, Retriever, Talent Unleashed, etc., so that everybody knows how to use them and who to contact.
Sure, thanks, Justin. So the Artemis team leads the deployment of all of these different initiatives, Retriever, Ceridian, Oracle, and they've been providing training around the launch of each different one. But that training is also, if you've missed it, available on each platform on GoFetch. If you look under the Project Artemis menu, you can also find additional content using the search function on GoFetch. For any tools where that information is insufficient, you can always reach out to your OSM, division leader, or support center leader, and they can help connect you to get additional relevant information, either directly or through who the individual product or implementation lead is. You can also, on GoFetch, there's a little light bulb at the top of the page. You can also get additional information on how to navigate GoFetch as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. This next one, Shannon, is HR related, so it's going to come your direction. Do you have an update on an employee handbook? Is there one in the works in terms of outlining benefits, holidays, etc.?
Great question. And the answer is yes. Julie Robinson, who is our Associate General Counsel, and her compliance team are building a company-wide handbook. It's still a work in progress, and we're evaluating what policies will be harmonized within that handbook. But it is in play. It does not include site-specific policies at this time, such as attendance policies and things like that, but more to come as we continue to work on it. So great question.
Awesome. Let's stick with you on another HR-related question. Will employees be receiving an increase in vacation days?
Oh, okay. So currently, most PTO plans are owned at the hospital level. And because of that, no, there is no plan right now to increase days since they're managed at the local level. However, we do know through the implementation of Dayforce, there is an opportunity to harmonize some policies, and we'll continue to look at that. But much work would need to be done to review all the current policies and make the right determination for Ethos and all of our hospitals. So no at this time, but something we can continue to look at.
Thank you, Shannon. This next one I will give to myself. It's about questions that we don't have time to answer in the live town hall. What do we do with those that we don't actually specifically speak to? So in the follow-up emails that come out post this call, which includes a link to the recording, we include a PDF specifically answering all the questions that we do answer live, but also the ones that we do not get to. So sometimes the email does come the next day because there are more questions that we need to work through as a leadership team. But all questions submitted do get answered written in the follow-up email. So the next email that you get today or tomorrow morning, be on the lookout for that PDF. Shannon, let's actually go back to you. Are there any plans to move the 401k to a safe harbor plan?
Oh gosh, I thought I was off the hook, but here I go. No, as of right now, we are working with a brand new benefits broker to optimize all of our benefit plans. As I've mentioned before, this is going to be a multi-year journey. 401k is definitely one on the list. But it's going to take significant investment. And so we've got to weigh that investment against others in benefits that we want to see, such as cost to the employee and PTO plans, leave of absence programs. So we will be meeting with Towers Willis Watson later this week, and we will have more information for you soon. So hang in there. We know it's a need. And yes, we would all like to get to a safe harbor plan soon.
Thank you, Shannon. Now you're off the hook. This next one will go to you, Tyler Narvison, if you're on. The question focuses on this idea of hospital inclusion when rolling out programs and new platforms. So there have been a lot of operational and structural changes occurring since the transformation of the last couple of years. While change is necessary to grow, the changes have been more recently implemented seem not to consider the site's input and or disregard it. So what are we doing to continue to grow with the sites and making sure that we include them when rolling out and implementing new programs. Tyler?
Yeah, Justin. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the great question. Really well thought out. We know that in evolving as an organization, moving towards our goal of having the right infrastructure, tools, and resources available, which will enable us to revolutionize veterinary medicine, will take time. The hospital's voice, it's crucial to our success. It's a key component, and the Ethos leadership team, that is undeniable across the team. We will always seek your input. You're correct that while it's not possible to get the buy-in of all 11,000 plus Ethos employees for each initiative, we are implementing tools to get as close as possible. This includes our air traffic control calendar to monitor the number of initiatives, increasing communications and learning options like office hours, and two-way feedback opportunities such as the support center services survey that Brandon hit on, and then also post-initiative feedback surveys. So when we launch an initiative, we really want to hear both throughout the process as well as afterwards what we can do to continuously improve. And as always, we encourage you to share your feedback with your division leaders, operations support managers, and DMOs, who act as your ambassadors within our larger support team. So again, really appreciate and value your input, and please continue to provide that.
Great. Thanks for the transparent answer there, Tyler. Trey, if you're on, we'll turn this one to you. Can you give us an update on the Dayforce implementation, specifically related to payroll, and what is being done to address any potential issues?
Sure. So I know this is a hot topic with a lot of our Wave 2 hospitals, which is roughly about a quarter of our hospitals. So with it, this is a very large implementation, and as we went into it, we definitely took a thoughtful approach to be able to figure out how to do this. But at the end of the day, it's a very large rollout, and there were going to be very many hiccups, and we really just kind of worked very hard to be able to mitigate that. From that, one of the things I can tell all of you all is almost every day for the last year of my life, I'm on anywhere from 1 to 3 Dayforce calls just to make sure that we're fully understanding everything, getting prepared for it, and then looking at how we're going to fix, improve, or keep going forward with the good stuff that's happening. I want to thank all of you all for utilizing Retriever. It's been a great source for us to be able to actually track all the stuff that's going on in this system. And the team's been working really hard to be able to make sure that every ticket's closed within 24 hours. But even beyond that, there's also just been some larger scale issues. You all should see a communication coming out here soon with regards to a tardy policy. That was an issue that was identified, and we've been working on a fix to go out. So what I'll say is it is something that we want to continue to get better as we look at either the current waves that are out there, but also wave 3 and 4. We're about to go through a very deep lessons learned portion of it, where we're going to look back at the last couple months to make sure we fully understand what the pre-launch and launch look like, and then everything that goes there, so we can make sure that as we go into wave 3 and wave 4, that we'll be able to have those items cleaned up, and we can make it as smooth of a process as possible. Beyond all of that, the other question that's probably underlying the question for many of you all is, when is wave 3 and when is wave 4? We're still working on hammering out the final dates. It looks like wave 3, which is going to include all the rest of the legacy NVA hospitals, is going to be sometime later this fall. And then as we look into wave 4, which should be most of the rest of the organization, we're looking at spring of 2025. So we're roughly still a year out before we're fully there, but we're doing an incredible amount of due diligence and look back in retrospect to be able to make sure that we're fixing all the issues, and as we go into future waves, that we'll have as smooth a process as we possibly can.
Thanks for that thoughtful answer, Trent. I think we are at time, but like I mentioned, there are a few questions that we actually didn't get to, but we'll answer these. We'll collate all of them that were answered or not answered, put them into the follow-up conversation, or the follow-up email that you'll get today or tomorrow morning. In addition to that, we will be sending an email specific to the FTC ruling on non-compete, so stay tuned for that as well. Ryan, back to you for any final comments.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Thanks, team. Great questions, great content. I'm just shocked we've gone a full hour and I haven't heard Taylor Swift's name once in the past hour. So I don't know if anyone else on the line is feeling the same thing. Trey's coming off video. He's got a comment.
It's because they were listening to it in the background as we all talked.
That's right. That's right. Very good. My kids are doing the same, and I try to keep up and be the hip cool dad, but I often fail miserably. So, anyways, great spending time with everyone here today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you soon.